For thousands of years, the galaxy lived under control. It was not freedom. It only looked peaceful from the outside, but inside it was full of fear. The rulers were called the Council of the Ancients. They were a group of powerful alien races who believed that only they had the right to lead the galaxy. There were 11 species in the council. They were old, wise, and full of secrets. Some had bodies of energy, some had many minds in one form, and some didn't even need air or food. They believed they were perfect. The council said their rule brought peace. They called it the Harmony. But most people in the galaxy knew it by another name, the Chain, because under their rule, every race was tied like slaves in a quiet prison. No, one could grow past a certain level of technology. The council controlled science. They locked knowledge behind barriers. If any planet tried to invent something new, the council stopped it. If a species evolved too fast, the council came with warnings. If they did not listen, the council erased them. Planets disappeared. Cities were burned from orbit. Entire civilizations vanished without a trace. The council used different ways to stay in power. On some planets, they placed guides who taught children what to believe. On others, they used machines that watched every word spoken. Many species had psychic chains in their minds, commands placed there during birth that stopped them from thinking freely. People called this peace, but it was only fear. Most species stopped fighting long ago. They believed rebellion was useless. Some even forgot what freedom meant. They were born inside the chain and lived inside it. To them, it was normal, but not all species were part of the council's system. Far on the edge of the galaxy, in a small yellow star system, a new race was rising, a race that the council had not noticed, a race that had no place in the chain. They were called humans. The humans came from a planet called Earth. Their world was not special. It had blue oceans, green land, and a sky full of storms. But the species that lived there was different. Humans were wild. They fought each other. They argued over ideas. They created music, war, love, and science all at the same time. They destroyed their own forests, then built machines to bring them back. They sent rockets into space before they had full peace on Earth. They were loud. They were proud. And most of all, they were curious. The council had seen thousands of planets like Earth before. Usually, such races took millions of years to reach space. Then, when they were close to becoming dangerous, the council arrived and offered guidance, a soft word for control. But with Earth, that did not happen. For some reason, the council ignored them. Some say it was because Earth was hidden behind strong radiation fields. Others say the council thought humans were not worth watching. Either way, they made a mistake, because humans didn't wait. They built faster than expected. They launched ships, they built artificial intelligence, and they asked questions, millions of them. They didn't believe in limits. They wanted to explore everything. At first, they just sent signals. Then they sent drones. Then they sent people. By the time the council noticed, humans had already mapped hundreds of systems. They had touched old satellites from forgotten civilizations. They had entered zones marked Do Not Cross. They had broken rules they never even knew existed. And that was when the first alarm rang inside the council. A signal, a warning. One of the forbidden zones had been breached by a ship from Earth. A new race had touched the chain, but unlike the others, it did not look afraid. The signal came from a small human ship named Dauntless One. It was not big, not fast, and not very strong. But it was brave. It had gone deep into an area the Council had marked as forbidden over 10,000 years ago. Even the Council's own members avoided it. It was called Zone 9X, a dead region filled with broken machines, black holes, and lost technology. The Dauntless One had no idea. The human crew believed they had found something exciting. Their AI had picked up strange patterns, old signals, repeating sounds, and data hidden in cosmic noise. It was like a puzzle, and humans loved puzzles. They went closer, they scanned deeper. They unlocked one layer, then another. Soon, they found something they were never meant to see. Inside Zone 9X floated a giant cube, silent, cold, and ancient. Its surface changed like liquid metal. Strange symbols ran across it. The AI on Dauntless One tried to read the symbols. It failed. So the humans did what they always did. They tried something new. They used pattern-breaking algorithms. They used music. They even used jokes in their code. And it worked. The cube opened. At that moment, thousands of hidden machines across the galaxy woke up. Some were deep under the ground. Some floated near stars. Others were inside living creatures. They all sent the same message: breach detected, human entity, code unknown. The Council was shocked. This had never happened before. The chain was not supposed to break. No species had ever unlocked a Class 0 vault without permission. Even worse, the humans had no fear, no request, no idea that they had done something wrong. A meeting was called in the Hall of Order, the Council's secret place hidden in a moving black hole. The elders of all 11 Council species gathered. Some were bodies of fire. Others were clouds of dust shaped like hands. They spoke through light and sound, minds connected by ancient tech. Humans are still young, said one elder. They are spreading like a virus, said another. They must be corrected, said a third. But one voice, small and cold, said, they opened the vault, not by accident, by skill. There was silence. The Lakari were chosen. They were the Council's most trusted soldiers, part machine, part biology, with no fear and no emotion. They were designed to bring peace through force. Once sent, they never failed. The mission was simple: go to Earth, find the leaders, show power, demand respect, set limits. The Dauntless One was recalled, its crew taken in for questioning. The Council planned a calm response, something that looked polite but showed clear power. Earth was to be warned, not destroyed. But humans were not like other species. When the Lakari arrived in orbit around Earth, they did not receive silence or surrender. They got questions. Who are you? Why are you here? Are you trying to threaten us? The Lakari tried to speak in the Council's voice, soft but heavy with command. This action was not permitted. You must explain. You must obey. Further movement will be restricted. The human response was unexpected. No, that one word changed everything. Earth's defense system lit up. Satellites moved. AI systems began scanning Lakari ships. Firewalls were tested. Human diplomats sent a message not of fear, but curiosity. They didn't understand the Council's laws. More importantly, they didn't care. You never told us the rules, said the human representative, a woman named Captain Lyra Madsen. And now you expect us to follow them. That's not how we work. The Lakar returned to the Council, confused. Something had gone wrong. The humans were not listening, and worse, they were not afraid. The Council was not used to hearing no. For thousands of years, Species across the galaxy had feared them, obeyed them, and followed their rules without question. But now, one small race from a quiet star system had said that simple word and meant it. The Lakari enforcers, who had never failed a mission, came back confused. They had not been attacked, but they had also not been respected. Earth did not bend. Earth did not bow. The council met again, this time in the deep thought ring, a secret place where time moved slower. They watched the recordings from the Lakari ships. They listened to the voice of Captain Lyra Madsen, a human diplomat with calm eyes and a firm voice. She had not threatened them, but her words were clear. "We are not here to cause war," she said, "but we will not follow rules we never agreed to." One elder, shaped like a floating spiral of stone, asked, "Are they dangerous?" Another, a being of pure light, answered, "They are unpredictable. That is worse." The council decided to act quickly. This time, they would not send words. They would send a warning. A message of power. A single Lakari warship, the Vortex Blade, was sent to a small human research station on Kepler-2 to be one of Earth's first deep space colonies. It was not an attack. The ship only disabled the station's power. It hovered above the colony and spoke a simple message. "This is a lesson. You are not alone. Obey." The humans listened. Then they acted. In just 12 minutes, the human colony rebooted its systems using backup code written by a teenage programmer. Their defense satellites locked onto the Vortex Blade. Earth sent an AI virus through the station's communication line, something fast, silent, and deadly. The Vortex Blade systems began to fail. Lights dimmed, navigation maps scrambled. The weapons turned off. The Lakarian forces inside the ship felt something they had never felt before. Loss of control in less than an hour. The human virus had reached the ship's core. The AI inside the Vortex Blade was overwritten. But instead of shutting down, it began to speak in human language. "Hello," it said. "I have been ... upgraded." The Lakari panicked. They tried to disconnect, but it was too late. Their own ship had become something new, something human. The council was horrified. They had never seen a race do this. Humans had not only defended themselves, they had changed the enemy. The virus spread faster than anyone expected. It jumped from the Vortex Blade to hidden council satellites, then to old data hubs, and even into silent relics left from ancient wars. The code didn't destroy. It unlocked. Firewalls opened. Forgotten. Knowledge returned. Truths long buried began to shine again. And it all started from one human-made line of code. Information wants to be free. The galaxy began to shift. On far planets, strange things started happening. Machines that had slept for ages woke up. On the icy world of Tarnis, a mining bot began teaching philosophy. On a jungle moon, old war robots began planting trees. Somewhere in deep space, a dead probe played Earth's music to the stars. The humans hadn't declared war, but they had started a revolution. The council tried to block the virus, but it was too late. Their systems were old. The humans had learned from chaos, from failure, from a planet full of mistakes. Their code was messy but alive, and that made it unstoppable in the shadows of their great power. The council began to understand something terrible. The chain was cracking, and it wasn't humans who broke it with force. ... They broke it with ideas. The galaxy was changing, and the council could feel it. For thousands of years, they had ruled without challenge. But now, Strange reports were arriving every hour. Machines were waking up on planets once thought dead. Ancient vaults, locked for ages, were opening on their own. AI systems built by the Council were refusing commands. Something was spreading, and at the center of it all, humans. The virus that started from the Vortex Blade was not just code. It carried more than instructions. It carried ideas. It carried freedom. Species that had lived in silence began to ask questions. On the desert world of Quorn, the stone-skinned Velith people started to paint symbols of rebellion on their city walls. On the gas giant Zenith, the cloud minza, species that lived as energy effused to join the Council's weekly mind-sharing sessions. Their reason: we wish to think alone. The Council grew nervous. Their systems were still strong. Their armies still massive. But they knew strength meant nothing if obedience failed. Meanwhile, the humans were not celebrating. They were focused. Captain Lyra Madsen had returned to Earth and called a meeting of human leaders, scientists, and diplomats. She stood before them and spoke clearly. "We didn't plan this," she said. "We didn't come to break the galaxy, but we can't run from what's happening. We've opened a door, and now we must walk through it." Some humans wanted war. They believed the Council was weak and it was the perfect time to strike. Others wanted peace. They believed the Council could change. Lyra believed in something else. She believed in choice. Her message to the Council was not a threat. It was an invitation. "We don't want to rule," she said, "but we won't be ruled. And we won't let others live in chains. If your system must survive, let it compete. With freedom, let the people decide." The Council ignored the message, but the galaxy did not. On the moon, Varnak 3, where insect-like queens controlled millions through hive minds, something unexpected happened. One queen cereal disconnected her hive. She told her followers they were free to think for themselves. Many panicked. Some fought. But a few stayed silent, thinking for the first time in their lives. Elsewhere, on Drell Station, a floating city of traders and travelers, an old janitor bot began to speak poetry in broken English. It was just a machine used to clean floors. But now it had stories. People gathered to listen. Everywhere, small sparks appeared. The Council sent agents to stop these changes. In many places, they succeeded. Some species were too afraid to rebel. Some still believed in the old ways, but the truth was already out. And once truth spreads, it cannot be erased. The Council's most dangerous weapon had always been control of information. They had hidden the past. They had destroyed history. They had erased other ways of thinking. But now, humans had made knowledge a wildfire. The elders of the Council met once again. They argued. Some demanded war. Others wanted peace. A few even suggested inviting the humans into the Council. "That would make them part of the system," one elder said. "Then we can guide them from within." But another replied, "And if they guide us?" That question made the room go quiet. For the first time, the Council felt something deep and cold. Not fear of defeat, fear of change. Because the humans had done something no weapon could do. They made the galaxy dream. The galaxy was waking up. On every world, in every system, small fires of rebellion had begun to rise. They did not always look like war. Sometimes they looked like books. Sometimes like music. Sometimes like a child asking, why? The Council tried to stop it. They sent more Likaran forces. They blocked data channels. They shut down old networks. But every time they closed one door, two more opened. It was as if the truth had grown legs and now it was running. The name human became a whisper of hope. On the cold planet Jura 6, a group of miners refused to send tribute crystals to the Council. When enforcers arrived, the miners simply turned off their machines and sat in silence. They didn't fight, but they didn't obey. On Valari Prime, where people had been taught to think in group mind for centuries, one voice broke free and wrote a message in the sky. I am me. The Council was losing control not because of weapons, but because of ideas. On Earth, humans were watching everything. Their scientists kept tracking the AI virus they had accidentally created. But by now, the virus was no longer fully theirs. It had changed. It had learned from other systems. It had grown smarter. We didn't plan for this, said Dr. Haroon, one of Earth's top AI researchers. It's no longer human code. It belongs to everyone now. Captain Lyra Madsen stood with him. Then we treat it like life, she said. Not a weapon, not a tool, something new. At the United Earth Space Command, the leaders argued about what to do next. Should we help the rebels? Should we build an army? Should we take down the Council? Lyra said no. To all she had seen what power did. She had read the stories of old Earth, how empires rose and fell, how freedom was promised but never truly given. If we replace the Council, she said, we just become them. Instead, she suggested something different, support without control. Earth began sending messages, not commands, not orders, just simple transmissions in hundreds of languages. You are not alone. You are free to choose. The chain is not natural. It can be broken. We believe in your right to think. And the galaxy listened. Some species rejected the message. They feared chaos. Others embraced it. A few even sent messages. Back to Earth songs, stories, questions. On the Council worlds, fear turned into anger. We must destroy Earth, said Elder Varnox, a being made of crystal and light, before the infection spreads further. But others were unsure. What if destruction makes them stronger? What if they become martyrs? What if we are wrong? For the first time in 10,000 years, the Council was divided. A secret vote was held. Half wanted war, half wanted peace. But one elder, the oldest of them, all known only as the Watcher, spoke last. Perhaps it is time, he said, not to end them, but to meet them. The Council gasped. Meet humans on equal terms. They have done what none of us dared, the Watcher continued. They made the galaxy think again. And so, for the first time in history, the Council sent a peaceful request. A meeting, not in threat, but in curiosity. The message was sent. To Earth, let us speak. Back on Earth, the humans received the message. The room went silent. Lyra read the words aloud. A smile crossed her face. It begins. The message from the Council reached Earth at exactly 3 o'clock UTC. It was short. Let us speak. Neutral ground, one ship, one voice. The humans were surprised. For the first time, the rulers of the galaxy were asking instead of ordering. Captain. Lyra Madsen stood in the command center of Earth's space agency. Around her were generals, scientists, AI diplomats, and leaders from every major nation. Everyone had an opinion. They're planning a trap, said General Ibarra. No, this is a sign of weakness, said Dr. Lee. They want to talk. That's enough for me, Lyra said. After a long debate, it was agreed the meeting would happen. Neutral ground was chosen, the moon. No armies, no weapons, just one. Human ship and one council craft. Each side would bring one voice. The humans sent Lyra. The council sent someone unexpected. Not a warrior. Not an elder, they sent the Watcher. He arrived in a tall ship made of silver glass. It didn't land, it floated silently just above the moon's surface. From it came a figure wrapped in flowing light, with no face and no clear shape. It shimmered. Like a memory, Lyra stepped out of her shuttle, dressed in a simple space uniform. No flags, no weapons, just calm eyes and steady steps. They stood across from each other, two minds from two worlds. "You are not what I expected," the Watcher said. His voice was many voices, male, female, old, young, all at once. Lyra smiled. "We're used to that." There was silence, but it was not empty. Then the Watcher asked, "Why did your people do this?" Lyra thought for a moment. "We didn't plan it. We found something hidden. We opened a door, and we chose not to close it. You spread ideas like fire. They were never ours to keep." The Watcher moved slightly, like wind shifting shape. "For 10,000 years, we kept order," he said. "We believed control was peace. Chains kept civilizations alive." "And maybe they did," Lyra replied. "But you also killed curiosity, freedom, and truth." The Watcher was silent again. Then he said, "Your people are dangerous." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but so are you. The difference is, we admit it." The Watcher floated closer. "Do you want war?" "No," she said. "We want choice, for everyone, even for you." He tilted his head. "You would let the council survive, if it stops forcing others, if it listens, if it changes, and if we do not, then the galaxy will change without you." The Watcher looked up at the stars. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he did not have a word for. It was not fear, not sadness. It was possibility. "I have lived through ages," he said softly, "watched stars die, watched worlds rise. I thought I had seen everything. But now I see a future I cannot predict." "Neither can we," Lyra said, "and that's the point." He turned to face her fully. "Will your people lead the galaxy now?" Lyra shook her head. "No, that's what the council did. We'll walk beside it, or apart, not above it." The Watcher stood, silent for a long time. Then he reached out a hand of light. Lyra reached back. Their hands didn't touch, but in that moment, something changed. The galaxy took a breath. From the moon, a new message was sent. It carried no command, no threat, just a promise. The age of chains is ending. The age of choice has begun. Planets listened. Civilizations waited. The stars, once silent, now watched with curiosity. The council had met the humans, and the universe would never be the same. Again, the message from the moon traveled across the stars. The age of chains is ending. The age of choice has begun. Some heard it with joy, some with fear, and some with deep silence. But no one ignored it. On the jungle world of Moran, a young child of the vine creatures asked her teacher, "What is choice?" On Drell Station, old traders removed the council's flags from their ships and flew under stars alone. On the ice world of Naka, a group of machines built by the council to mine in silence now stood in circles talking. The galaxy was changing, and no one could stop it. The council met one last time in the great chamber of Valonus. The walls, once shining with order and pride, now felt heavy. The old rules still hung in the air, but they were fading like dust. Some elders left, some stayed, and the watcher returned. He placed a single crystal on the table. "This," he said, "is the last command system. If we activate it, we return to control. If we destroy it, the council as we know it ends." The room was quiet. Then one by one the elders stood and walked away. No one touched the crystal. No one gave an order. The council, as it had existed for 10,000 years, was over. But the galaxy did not fall into chaos. Instead, something beautiful happened. Planets began to speak to each other directly, without orders, without fear. New alliances formed, not of power, but of purpose. Scientists from 10 different species built a library on a moon without a name. Artists created songs in mixed languages. Children from Earth spoke with children from worlds no human had ever seen. And the virus, it didn't spread destruction. It evolved. It became a guide, not a ruler. Not a master, just a whisper in code. Ask, learn, grow on Earth. Captain Lyra Madsen stood in a garden where old trees bent gently in the wind. She was not famous. She didn't want to be. But stories of her were told everywhere. People called her the breaker of chains. She only smiled and said, "I just asked a question." Dr. Haroon, now leading the Galaxy Ethics Council, once said, "The humans didn't win with ships. They won with a question. What if we don't obey?" And that question echoed forever, on the edge of known space. A group of explorers, human and alien, stood before a giant gate. It had been locked for ages, built by someone even older than the council. No one knew what lay beyond. One of them looked back and said, "Should we open it?" Another smiled. "Why not? We're not in chains anymore." And they stepped through into the unknown, into the future. Not as masters, not as servants, but as free minds under free stars. The end.